So if you've watched my last video where I covered the low gravity event, you'd have seen me attempt to land on top of Brecken Tower without using the lift. And yeah, I'm not going to show you again how that went. Check out the video if you haven't already seen it. It is pretty funny. But what I'm going to do this time is, as the event's still on, I'm going to try and land on the tower with the crane there. You know, the one where you do your training at the very beginning of the game. Of course, these tower blocks are two of the tallest points on the slums map, and from this point, you know, the detail at the roof there does look, you know, as you'd remember it from the beginning. It's much further away, so it looks detailed enough from the ground. So I'd like to go back to the roof and remind ourselves what it looks like up there, and then we can compare details of what you see when you go up in the lift, and if my attempt is successful, what detail, if any, is remaining when we try and fly to the top of the roof. Using the 0G event, I must stress, after the 0G event is over, then you won't be able to attempt this challenge. So, you know, I'm sure this will still be enjoyable for you if the event has passed and you didn't take part. Hopefully they'll bring it back and this will give you an idea of what to expect. So now we're kind of on the section of crane that we could just see from the ground, and you can see the scaffolding on the side of the building there that we could also see from the ground. It all looks pretty much the same down there as it does from up here. There's the kind of bin area that Raheem asks you to, you know, take a leap of faith onto at the beginning. It's pretty scary the first time you do it. You kind of feel a whoosh as you're going down. And that's when I noticed that on this occasion, despite it being the low gravity event, I fell fairly normally down onto the bin bags. There was no kind of float down as I expected. And there when I jumped, you can see it was perfectly normal. The physics, for some reason, up here in the training tower, seemed to be locked, and despite being Legend 185, I was unable to run and slide at this gap either. Yeah, so amazingly, I mean, I've never had to go back here other than when I've restarted a new save, but coming back here on my original save and finding out that the rules of the training tower are fixed was quite a surprise. There you can see where we were looking up from, and funnily enough, the details that you normally expect to see down there are all gone, and the cars look completely flat as pancakes. Now, in order to fly to these rooftops, which I said are two of the highest points in the map, the slums map, you're going to have to go to the other highest point, which is the tops of the tower there on the bridge. And yeah, also you're going to need the Pizer suit, which is kind of a wingsuit, which during this event somehow makes you fly pretty much horizontally across the entire map. So again, if you jump up as high as you can from the top there and then activate the Pizer suit, you'll just about maintain enough height to get all the way to the towers. I've sped it up here and obviously cut the journey down a little bit, and I decided to fly straight past and have a good look at it in the sunlight so we could see the details, or as it turns out, lack of details. You can see there that you can see straight through the building. The roof is missing. A lot of the walls are missing. A lot of the details that we thought were there aren't. Oh, there you go. It pops back in again, makes it look a little bit more solid. But you can see that, you know, what we could see from the ground looked detailed enough. But when you get up here, it is just basic stuff. No details whatsoever. But it turns out that you can land on it. Now, I was really surprised that the roof was solid here, because if you've seen my other video, when I landed on Brecken Tower, the roof wasn't solid at all, and you just dropped all the way back through it and landed on, you know, just above the first floor, which was an amazing glitch, but unexpected a little bit. There you go. This again was unexpected after that, because you can actually land on the roof, albeit it's not really what you first think, because now you can see I'm walking across these areas where there is no roof, and it's kind of as if there was one. And here is where the bin bags would be when you jump off the crane. Clearly it's just an empty box there with no details, no bin bags whatsoever. The crane itself doesn't even have cylindrical parts to it the way it should. It's just flat. I mean, it's effective enough for what you'd see from the ground. There's no doubt about that. It didn't need to be any more detailed. You're never going to see this from this perspective normally. The next question was, I didn't quite make it high enough to land on the crane, so I had to make another attempt to see if I could get to that point and see it from the perspective of the crane, the way you would do if you'd have come up in the lift and travelled across it. So here we go, attempt number 2. I've managed to get some height here. I'm not mucking about this time because you do lose a little bit of height. And yeah, there we go, lined up perfectly. If you let go of the analog stick, then you will just literally hover here, which means we can have a good gander at what we do and don't have here. Yeah, I can't actually drop onto this thing because I don't know if you noticed on my first attempt, you can jump straight through this thing, so there's no substance to it, it's purely visual. The physics up here really don't make any sense whatsoever because you weren't meant to come up here this way. You had to come up in the lift, and therefore it'd be a whole new area loaded with, you know, complete with the physics that it was meant to have, etc. But there you go, you can see exactly how crap this is when you get up close to it. I guess I shouldn't have expected anything else. And yeah, just to prove the lack of substance to this platform, which, you know, should support your body weight, just acts as though it's not even there and you phase straight through it. Interesting though, if you can see in the distance, that the details of the graffiti and everything on the opposite tower, on the Brecken Tower, are all present right up until the roofline, so they didn't really need to do anything beyond that point because, as I said, you're never going to see it from up here normally. You may not ever see it from this perspective again unless they bring back the low gravity event in the future and you own the Pizer suit. So I hope you liked this little challenge and were interested in the outcome, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.